Can 4 months of marriage decide whether you get any of your ex-husband's Social Security? For one woman, it did, and it cost her nearly $200,000 over her retirement. If you're divorced or you know someone who is, this is one of those rules nobody explains to you, and it could be quietly affecting your entire retirement. Let's understand it through the story of Linda. Linda got married at 28. She and her husband built a life together, raised 2 kids, and like a lot of marriages, things eventually fell apart. They separated when Linda was 36, but the divorce wasn't finalized until she was 37 years and 8 months old. She didn't think much about the exact dates at the time. Why would she? She was focused on rebuilding her life, not on a number she wouldn't need for another 25 years. Fast forward to Linda turning 62. She'd worked steadily, but her own income had always been lower than her ex-husband's, since she'd taken years off to raise her children. When she looked into her Social Security options, she discovered something that stopped her cold. As a divorced spouse, she might have been entitled to claim benefits based on her ex-husband's earnings record, which were significantly higher than her own. That could have meant a much bigger monthly check for the rest of her life. Here's the catch. To qualify for that benefit, the marriage has to have lasted at least 10 years. Not close to 10 years, not basically 10 years, 10 full years, calculated to the day. Linda's marriage lasted 9 years and 8 months. Now think about that for a second. She wasn't disqualified because she didn't work hard enough or because she made some reckless financial decision. She was disqualified because her divorce was finalized 4 months before the 10-year mark, and at the time, absolutely nobody told her that timing mattered this much. Let's talk about what this rule actually is, because I think this is where it gets really important. If you were married for 10 years or longer and you're now divorced and unmarried, you may be entitled to claim Social Security benefits based on your ex-spouse's work record instead of your own, if that amount is higher. This isn't a favor from your ex. It doesn't reduce what they receive. It doesn't require their permission, and they don't even need to know you filed. It's simply a separate benefit built into how Social Security works for long marriages. But here's where it gets even more interesting and where a lot of people get tripped up a second time. Even if you meet the 10-year rule, remarriage can cancel this benefit. If you remarry before age 60, you generally lose the ability to claim on your ex-spouse's record. But if you wait until after age 60 to remarry, you can often keep that option available, especially for survivor benefits if your ex has passed away. So why does this rule exist in the first place? Social Security was designed around the idea that a marriage lasting a decade or more represents a significant entangled financial partnership, one where a lower earning spouse may have sacrificed their own career or earnings to support the household. The 10-year threshold is meant to recognize that contribution, even after the marriage legally ends. This affects a huge number of people, honestly more than most realize. Anyone who divorced after a long marriage where one spouse earns significantly more than the other, stay-at-home parents who re-entered the workforce later in life, people who remarried without realizing it could cancel a benefit they didn't even know they had, and people like Linda whose divorce happened to finalize just months before that 10-year mark, sometimes because of how long the legal process simply took. And here's where I really want you to pay attention, because the mistakes people make here tend to repeat themselves. Not knowing this benefit exists at all and simply never applying for it. Assuming that claiming based on an ex-spouse's record will somehow reduce their benefit or that they need their cooperation. Remarrying before age 60 without understanding the trade-off. And rushing a divorce settlement without any awareness of how close the marriage is to that 10-year line. If you're currently going through a divorce or you're already divorced, here's what I'd encourage you to actually do. First, calculate the exact length of your marriage to the day, not the separation date. Days matter here. Second, if you're close to the 10-year mark and you have any control over the timing, talk to a family law attorney about whether it's worth delaying finalization by a matter of weeks or months. Third, if you're already divorced and the marriage lasted 10 years or more, contact Social Security directly to ask what you may be eligible for. Don't assume someone will tell you. You often have to ask. And a few things to avoid. Don't rely on your ex-spouse to inform you of anything, because in most cases, they won't even know you filed. Don't assume remarriage has no consequences for this benefit, especially if it happens before age 60. And don't wait until you're already at retirement age to look into this. The earlier you understand where you stand, the more options you actually have. So what happened to Linda? She wasn't able to claim on her ex-husband's record because her marriage fell 4 months short of the 10-year requirement. She ended up relying entirely on her own smaller work record for her Social Security benefit, which over the course of her retirement added up to roughly $180,000 less than what she may have received otherwise. She still gets by, but it's tighter than it needed to be, and it's a gap that traces back to a handful of months during a legal process she barely thought twice about at the time. So, let's bring it all together. The key lesson here is that a divorced spouse can claim Social Security based on an ex-spouse's earnings record if the marriage lasted at least 10 years. And this benefit exists independently of the ex-spouse's own claim. The biggest mistake people make is either not knowing this rule exists at all or letting timing around divorce or remarriage quietly cancel out eligibility without ever realizing it. Here's your action checklist. Calculate the exact length of your marriage to the day. If you're near the 10-year mark and you're still finalizing a divorce, talk to an attorney about the timing. Contact Social Security directly if you're already divorced from a 10-year plus marriage. Understand how remarriage before age 60 affects this benefit. And don't wait until retirement to find any of this out. If this is the first time you're hearing about this rule, I'd really love to know in the comments. And if you know someone going through a divorce right now, this might genuinely be worth sending to them. If this helped you, consider subscribing, because these are exactly the kinds of rules I want to keep breaking down for you.